The kids that mommy got drunk and ruined Christmas. I was just like, what?
Fast, you the maid, so you back. I'm a savage, yeah. Classy, bougie, ratchet, yeah. Sassy, moody, nasty, yeah. Acting stupid, what's happening? Bitch, what's happening? Bitch, I'm a savage, yeah.
Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel and another episode of Murder Meals. It's been a while. I feel like I haven't seen y'all since last year. Your girl has been busy, but I'm gonna try to be more consistent with my uploads and bringing you all a new case every week. Trigger warning, today's video is going to include topics of domestic violence and abuse against a partner. So I just wanted to make sure everyone is in a mental space to be able to receive and watch today's video. Now, before I get started, if you haven't done so, make sure you like, subscribe, and share my videos. You can go ahead and watch my most recent videos. I will have them pinned in the iCards, and let's get started. Today's video is about the tragic murder of Za'Zell Preston at the hands of her boyfriend or husband. We're gonna get into that, William Wallace. So Za'Zell was born September 5th, 1995. So your girl was a Virgo, just like me. We're amazing. We're just amazing people. She was 26 years old at the time of the murder. She was born in Orange, California. And I don't know if that was like Orange County, California, or if there's an actual city called Orange, California. Don't know. Her mother's name was Za'Zell Preston and her father was Larry Preston. Her friends called her ZZ for short, which I think that is cute. Hey ZZ. She was a talented dancer. She loved ballet and she was very artistic. She was very artistic. Now, like most people, she had a few bumps in the road at the beginning of life. She actually got pregnant in high school and gave birth to her oldest daughter named Ayanna. And I'm just smashing down the cream cheese in order to get it softer because it was in the refrigerator. Now, a few years later, she did have another daughter. So she was known to be a great mother by her friends. Now, although she had a few bumps in the road at the start of her life, her friends and family said she had a promising future. That was until she met William Wallace. He was a dock worker. He was a dock worker who had really bad anger issues and a really bad drinking problem. When the two mixed, it just got even uglier. He was very jealous and possessive. So at the start of their relationship, the abuse between the two kind of started as soon as they pressed go on it. They did date on and off for the next 3 years. Family and friends said that the abuse was very known throughout everyone. There was really no hiding it. It started out as it normally does with verbal abuse, which that quickly turned into physical abuse. Wallace, again, being the very jealous man that he was, he instantly made Za'Zell stop dancing. His jealousy and his control and anger issues just wouldn't allow her to move forward in his mind. Now, Za'Zell, she would try to leave Wallace on several different occasions throughout the time frame of their relationship. But like most abusers, he would claim to be changed or beg for her to come back and just do a whole bunch of love bombing and gaslighting in order to get Za'Zell to return back to him. Research does show that it does take an abused victim at least or approximately 7 times before they actually leave the relationship for good. So that is something that her friends and family did see a lot of. Za'Zell trying to leave, Wallace just begging her or doing whatever he can in order to get her back and for her not to stay, and then the abuse cycle just repeating itself. Now, Za'Zell's friends and family would beg her on several occasions to leave William, and you know, they would offer to help, and They were fearful of her life because Williams on several occasions had threatened to kill Za'Zell. As the relationship progressed and Za'Zell stayed and went back more times, the violence would escalate and get worse and worse. On one occasion, the abuse had gotten so bad that in the midst of them fighting, Za'Zell did have to flee the home, and she ran and hid in a convenience store restroom, and she did have to call one of her family members in order to come and get her. Now at some point, and the timeline is a bit hazy with this case, but at some point, Williams did go to prison. Well, he actually was in and out of prison the full time of their relationship. Most of the time it was due to domestic violence. But in this particular situation, after this last incident, he did go to jail again. And this time, Za'Zell did obtain a restraining order against Williams. But of course, him being him, he violated it multiple times, and he would go to jail in regards to violating that restraining order. Now, keep in mind, this whole time that all of this abuse is happening, Za'Zell is still a very driven and ambitious girl, and she is pursuing becoming a model, as well as she is a full-time student. She attended Cypress College, where she actually was pursuing a degree in becoming a domestic violence counselor. It was believed that just due to the fact that she did go through domestic violence and experience it herself in her relationship, she wanted to be able to help other women, children, and men in those situations to where they don't feel like they have no hope and no escape, and they knew their options as far as how to get out of that situation, which I find very amazing. Now, after his last visit to the clink, Za'Zell's mother and grandmother begged Za'Zell to leave Wallace and be done with him, and just to try to reason with her, because they, again, feared for her life. But unfortunately, it went the direct opposite of what they were hoping. So while he was in jail the last time, he was in jail a lot, but one of the times he was in jail, Za'Zell found out that she was in the motherly way. She was expecting, she was pregnant, she was having his baby. And I know the girls was on their backs. I can only imagine. Now that she was pregnant by him, Za'Zell actually was wanting to make their family official, and she wanted to marry him. So she did go down to the old prison cell, and she let him know that she was carrying his child and that she was going to keep it, and she wanted to, you know, I guess see what the family was going to do and move forward. Him, again, being basically ain't shit, he told her all the things that one would want to hear while they are pregnant. He begged for another chance, insisting that things would be different and how much he loved her and all of that. He even said that he knew this time was going to be different, because this time he had found God. And now he was going to be a man of faith. So after his release from prison this time, William Wallace did go ahead and move in with Za'Zell and her two daughters into their apartment. Things were good for a little while, but of course, after a while, as soon as he found God, he lost him that fast, because he was back to his old ways. Now you can actually still, and I went ahead and looked myself, but you can actually still see Za'Zell's Facebook posts. They're all still up. If you look up her name, Za'Zell Preston, on Facebook, you can just see the emotional roller coaster that she went through with Williams. She would post pictures of them, you know, with him having his hand on her belly. She would have emotional posts about her, you know, wanting to leave this world. She would have posts just, you know, asking for prayers for him. It's just, go ahead and go ahead and check that out and you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Now, again, Williams did not care that this woman was pregnant with his child. He was still beating her and just doing whatever he wanted to her, pregnant and all. One of the worst beatings, well, I don't want to say worst, but one of the notable beatings that happened during her pregnancy was on one of the fights. It had gotten so bad and the beating had been so bad to where Za'Zell's friends and family had actually found her laying in the street in the fetal position. That is crazy to me. Let me just say this. Everywhere that I read, it was saying that they was husband and wife, but then you had contradicting articles saying that they weren't legally married. It was like a hood wedding. So let me just say that. I think they was hood married, but you know, we know how that is. I set out to say this. So on another article that I had read, it had stated that on their supposed wedding night, that they had gotten into a fight that got physical, and it was so bad that it did cause Za'Zell to go into labor prematurely. He gave birth to their son prematurely. On Thanksgiving 2011, she was just so down in the dumps and just her mental state was just done that Za'Zell told her grandmother that it would be just better off for everyone if she were dead. And when her grandmother kind of was like, hey baby, why are you saying that? She justified her statement by stating that if she was dead, then Wallace would go to jail and her children would be safe. Just keep in mind, this is 3 years of this man just brutally, mentally, emotionally, and physically beating her down. I could see how she could come to this, you know, mindset and just feel this way. Shortly after Thanksgiving, Za'Zell had a shift in her attitude. She told her mother and grandmother that she was finally ready to leave Williams and she was about to be up out that thing. She told them that she had a plan that after her finals, that she would be moving her and her children into a safe home because they did have a close family friend that ran a domestic abuse shelter, and she was prepared to help set the family up into a safe house, you know, one of those programs. And Za'Zell was finally leaving. Her grandmother and mother was so relieved and happy that Za'Zell had finally, you know, just made that courageous decision to leave her abuser and she was getting out. But sadly, her plan would never come to fruition. So on Christmas Eve 2011, you know, Za'Zell and Williams were doing what most couples are doing. They were celebrating by going to a little party. The party was at a neighbor's house. The couple was drinking, and apparently whenever this happened, they did start to argue, so they decided to leave the party. And on the way home from the party, the fight just kept escalating and escalating. Once they got home, the fighting did continue to the point to where neighbors could hear them fighting, but it was normal for them. They were used to hearing the two go at it fighting, so they were in nobody's rush to call any type of attention to it. They weren't calling the police. Williams did begin to violently beat Za'Zell. He would beat her in the head repeatedly. She even at a certain point ran out of the house, to which he went after her, grabbed her, and dragged her right back in order to continue beating her. At some point during the fight, Za'Zell had went through a glass table, and I'm assuming at this point she did pass out. So with her going through the glass table and passing out, Keep in mind, this is Christmas Eve. So while this fight is happening in the living room, the 3 kids are in the room sleeping. So this is all taking place while the children are home. So just keep that in mind. So after Williams, made Za'Zell go through the glass table, Zanaya, she got up to kind of see what was going on to check on her mother. And at this point, what do you think Williams did? Williams ordered Zanaya, 8 at the time, to help clean mommy up. So this man made this 8-year-old girl take glass out of his mother's hair and out of her skin, just sitting there picking at it. Just terrible. That's just terrible. Williams then went ahead and tried to carry Za'Zell to the restroom, to clean her up. But in the process of doing this, he dropped her body, making her hit her head on the toilet seat bowl. At this point, Williams, I guess, said, forget this, and he went ahead and drugged Za'Zell to the bedroom and placed her in the bed for the night. And he went ahead and climbed into bed like nothing happened. So the next morning, it is Christmas morning. The kids are super excited. They want to see what Santa done dropped down this chimney. And they do what kids do. They rush out to the living room in order to open up their gifts. But, they want to wait on their parents. So Williams, he gets up, and then he brings Za'Zell to the living room. He sits her on the couch. He puts some sunglasses on her and then tells the kids that mommy got drunk and ruined Christmas. I was just like, what? He went ahead and he proceeded to, do the things that us parents do. He recorded the kids, opening up their gifts and having a good time, and just went ahead with his normal morning while mommy sat there drunk on the couch. Now, I guess once, the festivities and the gift opening was done, Williams looked over at his wife and he said, dang, I guess at this point I can act like I care. So then at this point, he does finally call 911 and state that his wife is in need of medical attention. Oh. Paramedics and police arrive to the scene, and they arrive to an unresponsive Za'Zell and a mess of a home. They get there, Za'Zell is still on the couch, slumped over with these sunglasses on, and they see holes punched into walls, glass tables broken on the floor, doors torn off the doggone hinges. They knew immediately that something had went down at this home. So they immediately rushed Za'Zell to the hospital because, again, she was unresponsive, at the home. But unfortunately, it was too late, and they just declared her dead at the hospital on Christmas morning. Immediately, Williams was placed under arrest because clearly he was the main suspect. Well, they knew that he did it. So again, William was immediately placed under arrest and charged with second-degree murder. He tried to take the route that this was self-defense and he had to defend himself against Za'Zell. But based off of her injuries, the state of the home, and his history of abuse, it was clear that that wasn't the case. I don't know if you don't put 2 and 2 together, but let's just backtrack a little bit. Christmas Eve, they got in a big fight. He was beating her and she went unconscious. Prosecutors weren't entirely sure of when she died. They don't know if she died when her head went through the glass or whenever he dropped her and made her head hit the toilet seat, or if she died in the night. Now they are kind of believing that due to the fact that she didn't receive any medical attention that she died during the night. But however, the point is that Christmas morning, Za'Zell was dead. So William, trifling behind, took this dead woman, propped her on the couch, put glasses on her, and told their kids that mommy got drunk and ruined Christmas, and made his kids open up Christmas gifts with their dead mom sitting there on the couch. That is by far the sickest shit I have ever heard. When I read that, I was just kind of like, hold up, what? You gotta be kidding me. Just imagine how traumatic that had to be for those kids. Death row, get him up out of here, evict him from life, because what? Now, for whatever reason, it would take 9 years for Williams to face charges. But at this point, the oldest daughter, Za'Zell, was 17, 18 years old at the time, and she testified against her stepdad, stating that she remembered reaching out and trying to touch her mom, and she just says that her mom was rock hard, and she called out to her mom saying, "Mommy," but she didn't get any response. She said that this experience has obviously traumatically impacted her and caused her a lot of trauma that she's still into counseling to this day. Williams again went the route of self-defense. His attorneys basically argued that he was the victim. He had to protect himself from Za'Zell, and that yes, he beat her and they were fighting, but he wasn't the one that killed her. He wasn't the one that killed her. He says that her dying was really a result of her, because while they were fighting, she bit him, and him defending himself, he snatched away and she fell back and went through the table, and that's what killed her. Not him physically putting his hands on her is what killed her. But obviously the jury, they wasn't having any of that. They weren't buying it, and they convicted that ass. So he was found guilty, as he should have been. And Za'Zell's mother, quote, stated, "He beat and tortured my daughter, at the same time mentally assassinated her children. He showed her no mercy, let's show him no mercy." Williams was sentenced to 15 years to life with credit of 9 years of time served. So honestly, he's eligible for parole, I believe either this year or next year. But that is the conclusion of today's case in the tragic murder of Za'Zell Preston. What did you guys think? You know, everyone wants to say what they would do in those types of situations, but until you're in it, you never know. And actually, I don't know if I stated this, but at the time of her death, Za'Zell was just weeks from graduating college. I believe she was like 2 or 3 weeks out from graduating college. And again, she just had her baby. Her son was only 7 weeks old. It was just such a tragic ending to a girl who had so much going for herself. You know, she was finally ready to leave that situation. She had a new baby. She had her daughters. She was about to have her degree. She had her life ahead of her. And William, being the type of man that he is, he just couldn't allow her to live her life and be happy. Now, if you or anyone else that you know is in a situation to where you need to get help in regards to domestic violence, just know that help is always available for you. The National Domestic Hotline number is 800-799-7233. I will also leave a link below. And just remember that help is always one phone call away. Thank you so very much for watching my video. And until next time, bye.